What's going on? It's Justeeni here, and today I've got a really nice replay to show you. This is a game between me and Treasure Trove. This Treasure Trove guy, he's got a pretty cool YouTube channel. I'm gonna shout him out real quick. He's got a nice chess channel. Go sub to him. He's also a pretty good Polytopia player, as you might see in this game. And we had a really fun game. Basically, we agreed to a large continents game, and I told him I'm going to be doing Zabasi Philosophy Rush, because you guys want to see more of this. And he decided, well, I'm going to go Polaris, because I think that's the best against the Philosophy Rush. And his idea is this. Basically, Polaris's mid-game strength is going to be perfectly timed, where Polaris is at their strongest, and I will be at my weakest, still trying to set up markets and having to defend an absolute onslaught. And we'll see what happens in this game. So we start with a good old turn 0 warrior, and already on turn 1, I'm going to pause because it's already interesting. He goes for the lighthouse. This is actually an opening I have never seen before, but his idea is to use an outpost for that turn 1 level up, which is very interesting. I quite like it though. He's able to get hunting before capturing, and then he finds the ruins nice and early. He goes for a very early explorer, which I'm not too sure about, especially on a continent map. And then he gets riding to expand faster, and he gets a star ruins already, which he uses to get ice fishing, and he's got a pretty quick start because of that. Basically, he's already settled economically. He's just gonna be able to do his thing, have a pretty solid starting economy, which will really help him get to that mid-game faster. He's just going to keep on leveling up, and he finds yet another village. He's expanding at quite a good rate, because Polaris doesn't need to bother with ports or anything, so this Mooney's helping him out a ton. And he gets Polarism nice and early before capturing, so he can expand even faster. And he gets an Explorer here, and finds another continent. He sees my borders, so he knows where I am. And again, at this point, he's just going to keep trying to take over the map. Because he's got his continent to himself, he's got these water cities, and he's starting to get into this small land mass over here. So it looks like he's going to out-expand me, no problem, which is to be expected because I'm going for a very slow opening, and he's taking full advantage of it. And now he goes for another interesting play. So he goes for an explorer, and the reason why is he can see the shoreline. There's a land tile there, and he knows that I'm somewhere here. So if he gets an explorer, this could potentially reveal me completely. And I've got over 4,000 points. He's going to get a huge star boost. Maybe he can get roads to connect to cities, or he can get forestry to develop, or even organization. It really depends. But he runs into a mountain, so he doesn't actually get to meet me. The Explorer was a great play, it just unfortunately didn't work out. But he is able to get his first Gami on turn 11, which is pretty good. Placing his Park of Fortune down. And then again, continuing to expand. He gets climbing so he can finally meet me and see what's going on over here. Gets a lot of useful vision, gets organization, all this before capturing this village as well. So then he can level these up. And then he decides to use another outpost to level up, giving him Grand Bazaar, which he can now use. And then he's just developing a bit. I'm not too sure if he should be concerned about getting the level 3 cities like that, because that costed 9 stars. So it might be a little on the greedy side when he needs to be playing aggressively, but we'll see how it pans out. So I'm just training some riders. I'm not training very many units, so I am outnumbered from what he can see. And again, he's expanding so much. Like at this point already, after he hits this knight, he hits the sword. Look at this city count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cities. And I'm just residing in this corner. He doesn't know how many cities I have. He can only see 4, none of which are my capital. I don't think he can assume this is my capital either. Yeah, because I didn't have this city earlier. I hope I mentioned he did get strategy before capturing, because that is also important. The reason why he goes strategy, instead of, like, for example, why not sledding here? Sledding makes a lot of sense. Sleds are extremely strong, very cost efficient. Basically, if you have water access to the opponent, use sleds. The problem is, where's the water access? One city? That's pretty uncertain. Like, this city he can get to, but it's so easy for me to just break the ice and cut off his sleds completely. So, sleds aren't that useful. It's pretty expensive to pay 22 stars up front just to be able to attack one city more easily, with no guarantees of even winning it. So instead he goes strategy with the idea of going cloaks. And cloaks are pretty interesting. Despite having the creep ability, they actually get a movement boost from this glide. I'm not sure if that's intended, but it is something worth keeping in mind. So the cloaks are extra dangerous. It also makes a lot of sense going for cloaks because he knows I'm going to be trying to be minimalist on defense, and I'm trying to build my cities really tall. And cloaks are the perfect counter to a greedy strategy like this. So he's getting strategy, preparing for that. As you can see, he even gets some defenders, mostly to just stuff up the front lines so then it's easier to send a cloak in later. And I'm starting to set up my markets. So he'll have to be swift. And he gets a nice siege, unfortunately on a low-level city, but it is some nice vision, and he knows that I probably don't have very many units. He's training a bunch of units, just getting ready to attack, and I'm defending. And he sees I actually do have a decent amount of units. They were just waiting. I level up that city, get a city wall, just to stay very defensive. We've both definitely assumed our roles here. He's absolutely on the offense. He's trying to attack me. He's getting ready to get cloaked soon. And I am on the defensive. He's even breaking some ice. The reason why he does that is mostly so then these cloaks can easily enter, but I can't easily detect the cloaks because he's going to break the ice, move his cloaks up, then he's going to bring the ice back, and then send the cloaks in to attack. So he basically can just send in a cloak for free, and I don't actually have any counterplay for it. So he's going to get some very easy infiltration, tons of units, and it's going to be pretty rough. And on top of that, he even gets to the city, so he's expanded even further. And again, I'm just building up my markets. I don't really care too much. Not training very many units, still not doing much, playing very greedy. Despite him preparing for a pretty devastating assault. He even lands a siege on the city and blocks it with a defender. And he gets a really nice explorer here. Now he knows what's going on. And he gets vision of all of my cities except for one. And if we just look at this point at the end of the turn, first off, lots of cloaks. And he's taking advantage of the polarism, sliding the cloak 4 tiles so he can land the city next turn. And I'm not going to be able to stop that. But if we look at the city count, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and soon to be 12 cities. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a 7th city back here that he can see the borders of. So I have just over half the cities that he does. But I have markets, so he needs to still be aggressive. If the game draws out, it won't be easy, because I will eventually start counterattacking, so he needs to just put the pressure on, so then he can keep his cities, and maybe he can do something later. Or if he can just take a city from me, then I'm only at 6 cities, and stuff will get really bad for me. You can see I'm bringing in units to defend this area. This is really the only area he's pressuring right now. So I'm just trying to defend, getting a giant, getting more markets. Despite being attacked, I don't really care too much. I'm gonna just train more units, get my markets going. He has 39 star per turn. I'm sure someone can count how much star per turn they see here, but spoiler alert, more than 39. I am up in economy, so he needs to be pressuring. And he gets a very devastating siege here. Continuing to clean up here, and he's getting ready for an absolutely devastating turn. Because you can kind of see here, if we go back before I even do anything, he's got this cloak ready to infiltrate, this Gami is sieging, and it looks pretty bad. But then he moves his cloak here, right next to my riders. And if I detect that cloak, that means he can't infiltrate this city. But he does have a backup plan for this city, if things come to that. But I think this cloak move was definitely a misplay. I think if he wanted to be sneaky with a cloak, he could maybe send it over here. But even then, that's still pretty risky. I would just keep the cloak in the back so then he can save stars to train some other units. Because he is still pretty light on stars. 40 star per turn sounds like a lot, but it's not going to be easy to break through, even though it seems like I don't have a lot going on. We'll kind of see what happens. So first off, I just kill his cloak, no problem. Some easy minesweeper. Then I get rid of this defender that's near my city, because I don't want it sieging. I go ahead and chip away at things, and then I giant push this off. And then get up another market. Basically, even though he's attacking me so aggressively, and even landing these cloaks in, I'm still able to develop my economy, and he may have missed his window of opportunity unless he can do something here right now. He goes in with these riders, and he's actually not able to siege. But if we go back, it looks like he probably could have been able to. It looks like he messed up a bit with his order of operations, because he infiltrates with the cloak first, and then sieges. Or attempts to siege. The reason why he has to move his Gami away is because the daggers get in the way. But if he had actually done it in a different order, attacking with all of these riders first, then sending this cloak in when the giant's close to dying, but not dead yet, so then the cloak can infiltrate, and then the Gami can siege, that might have been troublesome for me. I'm not sure if it would have been game over. I did have a plan. I'm pretty sure there was a way to still giant push again. I can double check things, but I had like a lot of port spots, so I'm pretty sure. I was expecting him to siege with the Gami. I know that 100% for sure. So I can only assume I had a plan. But it would have been very, very difficult to deal with the Gami siege, the cloak infiltration, and the second cloak infiltration at the same time. I think that amount of pressure would have made things pretty difficult. But again, you can check the replay to see if even then I would have been fine, or if things might have actually been too tough. But here, I'm still hanging on despite these attacks. And I can train my first knight. I'm defending these daggers here, not able to clear them all. So things are going to start to build up. And this one knight, it's nice, but it can only deal with one side of the map at a time. So he's still going to continue to put on some pressure. And he's sending these cloaks in, but then he breaks the ice like this. And again, the reason why he does this is because he doesn't want my knight to just reach and chain everything. But I can just make a bridge. And he also realizes that. He also gets an amazing trade ruins. But despite that, 56 star per turn. Sounds like a lot, but it actually isn't. I've got some really strong markets. He sends these riders back so then I don't get a good knight chain, which is very good play from him. I send this knight in to chain here. And then I send the other knight in, the one that he didn't see. And this is where the tables start to turn. The turn after he gets trade, and it seems like everything is set up, is where he actually falls apart. Because now, I'm starting to push back. And once this Zabasi philosophy gets going and starts attacking, the game's just going to wrap up soon. Like, we can look, he's still going in with these cloaks, and it seems dangerous. He goes mining to help develop and maybe get his eco up, but he's going to be under a lot of pressure very soon. Because he can't actually play the long game here. And there's another level up, going for a nice border growth. But then I get another chain. This one I think he just completely missed. I think this was like a pretty significant misplay. Because I can just place the bridge and then that eliminates most of his army. This is what really seals the deal. From this point, he is absolutely going to struggle. Because he has lost most of his army. He is behind in economy. He has no more initiative. And I have all these giants, and I'm still continuing to develop. I even make some bridges so then I always have a way of attacking him here, and I'm just going to start to really put the pressure everywhere I can. He gets Smithery as kind of way of setting up some defense, and to potentially get some forges to level up his cities even more, to get his economy going, but I think it's just too late to get his economy going. I'm just going to keep on going. I get a knight through, and I get my first bomber, and I'm just getting more and more powerful as the turns go on, and there's just more and more pressure, more and more units coming in. He doesn't have time anymore. It's too late. He can try to defend. He goes for some parks to try and get some eco, but it's just too late. At this point, it's kind of just hoping maybe he can hold on somehow and then develop his cities enough to get something going. Because I am still only at 7 cities and he is still at 12 cities, but he has to really just somehow hang on when there's all these giants and knights and bombers and everything. He goes for ice archers. That's a good way of dealing with the giants, but unfortunately, he doesn't have a way of dealing with this knight. And this siege is actually just... Is it unstoppable? It's pretty bad. I think it is unstoppable. Because he can move the sword in. And he's actually just not able to reach this knight with these riders, even with polarism. And losing the city just really, like... If it didn't look like things were over, which I know it seemed kind of like crazy to say, like, oh, I have 7 cities, but the game is over, I'm completely winning. This solidifies it even further if you're somehow not convinced. The siege is absolutely devastating for him. And he even tries to land in another cloak. He's able to unsiege here. And he's going to get some more defense. But I'm just sending my units in, and he just can't do anything about it. Not only that, but again, my eco is better. My army is better. I have more techs. The only thing I'm down in is cities, and it's 11 to 8. But as soon as I take this city, I just instantly pop a giant and get a ton more eco. And things are just going to continue to snowball, pun intended, against Polaris. He goes for one last desperation attempt with chivalry, but these 2 sieges are too much, and I'm going to be the one with the city advantage really soon. I'm just kind of destroying everything. 10 cities to 9. And I'm, again, as soon as I get these cities, immediately developing them, and I'm just completely out of control. There's an avalanche of giants, knights, bombers, and likely more units to come. And after all is said and done, he finally throws in the towel and concedes. This was a very good game, though. I really do want to look at the mid game because that's where things really happen. I'll show my point of view for a bit. So we'll look at, like, I don't know, turn 13. That's where he made the commitment. Because you can see, I just started my market development. And he pretty much attacked as fast as he could. You don't really get faster than this unless you're playing like Simanti or something. But if you've seen my first video with this strat, Simanti can only do so much as well. But you'll see in this mid game, I really just don't care a whole lot, and I'm just going to continue to develop my eco. We kind of skip along through this. I get a nice border growth. I'm border growthing just all these cities because I can. It's just really hard to punish this greed because I already have philosophy. I've already got my altar piece. I've already got my market set up, and it just takes too long for things to really get going. I'm even just able to develop more. Like I end this turn with 37 star per turn, and then I'm ending this turn with 46, and then I end this turn with 55, so I'm just way ahead of him eco-wise. And then even here, when I do the giant push, I'm ending with 61 star per turn. Or sorry, 62. And we can even look here where he had his mischance to do the Gami siege, where I'll still have quite a few stars available, but yeah, if I can just get this, that's 3 population, get rid of the dagger here, that's more population, then I just need to break ice in 1 spot, and that's good enough. I've got way too much eco, and I'm just able to run away with the game. I get my knights, and then he slips up once, and immediately the momentum turns back in my direction. And again, we can look at his eco. This is where he actually gets the Ice Wing, so he's actually temporarily ahead in eco. But the thing is, actually, despite that, look at his tech prices. Look at my tech prices. My tier 3 techs are cheaper than his tier 2 techs. So even like him having more eco for a brief amount of time, which, oh wait, did he even have more eco? Oh, no. He only had more eco when he was cloaking my cities, so yeah, even despite everything. That's the thing with kind of Polaris in general, is Polaris is pretty weak late game because like the ice gets destroyed. Gami are pretty weak in terms of super units, and markets just completely obliterate ice banks. But again, he was hoping that in the mid game he could attack me, but he was just a little too slow and a little too late. But again, it was a good game. Again, shout out to Treasure Trove. A very fun one. And have a good one.